Ready? Well, here we are, another episode of Ask the Old Man, Uncle Marvin. So, I am so pleased to have a special guest tonight, Dr. Leslie Kalyn. Hi, Leslie.
Hi, how are you?
How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for being on this show. It's so...
Are you kidding me? It's my pleasure.
Oh, good.
My pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have a show here at Sticky Paws,
I do.
and it's called The Next Level.
Yes, the Next
Right?
Level podcast with Dr. Leslie.
Dr.
You got it.
Leslie, yeah. Tell me about it.
Well, it's sort of evolved. It started out as a podcast to help people sort of feel inspired and triumphant in their challenges in life, because I went through a lot of shit myself. I was indicted. They wanted to put me away for 5 years. Like, it was scary as hell. I was totally alienated from my family. Like, it was terrifying. And it was a way for me to get my side of the story out and to inspire other people to hear their stories and how they overcame their challenges. So it started out as that. But now it's really evolved into really what I want to do and bring to the world, which is really life hacks and self-mastery tools. So as I've sort of stepped out and I've become more confident, I've gained my strength and my self-confidence and my worth, I want to share with people how I basically do life to create my best life, because I'm doing that now. I'm doing all the things that I wanted to do. And really in a short period of time, I went from poverty, sleeping on someone's couch, to thriving again and back in medicine and have my coaching business and mastering my physiology and my mind and really, really having so much joy in my life every day. Like, I have fulfillment and I want other people to have that. So it's a nice mix of anti-aging sort of life hacks in terms of how do we heal our bodies? How do we live our best physical life? How do we harness the power of our mind and create joy and happiness? And how do we also do it while we are being authentic? I don't want to say spiritual, because spirituality is kind of, it's such a tainted word, but in a way that's authentic with who we truly are. So it's kind of a life hack meets self-mastery in like a nouveau way, not a spiritual hooky way. Like, really, I mean, I swear I've got a potty mouth, so it's very real. I'm
I'm from
real.
New York. Don't tell me about potty mouths, okay?
I challenge you.
Yeah, right.
How many swear words can we say on this show?
Are you kidding me? How the fuck are you doing?
Right. Oh, fuck yeah. Let's do it. We popped the swearing cherry. That's good. So that's what I do. It's super fun. I have so many cool guests and experts, and then my own knowledge too. So.
It's funny because I have to tell you that I've lived my whole life that way, where I've always looked inside of myself to see where am I, what am I doing, and where do I want to go, and how do I do it.
So did you learn that, or was that just a natural thing?
Oh, it's just a natural thing, I guess, because...
Well, that doesn't help anyone, because there's a lot of us that are fucked and we're not taught that.
But you have to understand my background, I guess.
Okay, share.
I've said this in the last couple of shows. I'm the last generation of the Holocaust survivors. Me and my parents were in the concentration camp in Auschwitz. And we went from Auschwitz to Treblinka. Auschwitz was a work camp. And Treblinka is where they threw you into the ovens. Well, they didn't have any more room for us in Auschwitz because Auschwitz, like I said, was a work camp. There's a big sign on top of Auschwitz that says Arbeit macht frei. That's German for work makes you free. So that was the work camp. When we pulled into Auschwitz on the cattle cars, they were overpacked. It was toward the end of the war. I was born in June of 44. So we were captured right after I was born. And they threw us in on the cattle cars. They took us to Auschwitz. They were overpacked. They put us back on a train and going to Treblinka because they just wanted to exterminate all the Jews. So, and we were lucky because at the time the Russians were pushing toward Poland, moving eastward. Excuse me. And they had bombed the tracks. The train derailed. My father grabbed me and my mother. We ran into the woods and we escaped. So, that was the hardest time of our lives.
Right.
From there, it was downhill. That's the worst times. And we lived through a lot of stuff, of poverty, ultra poverty, to immigrants, to displaced persons camp, refugee camps, to living in Canada for 10 years.
My home country.
Your home, it was my home country also. I lived in Toronto
All right.
for 10 years.
Alberta, the other side.
On the other side.
Yeah.
The cold side.
Ugh.
Freezing cold side.
Yeah.
But still a Dominion. And the only reason we were in Canada is because Truman had shut off the quota for Jews to come into America. And they diverted us to Canada. So, and we had to wait for the quota to open up for us to come to America. And on my birthday in 1956, we moved. We moved to New York. And I grew up in New York all my life.
So how old were you when you moved?
12.
You were 12.
12
You were 12.
years old,
Okay, so
yeah.
12. You really had to tune inwards. You probably didn't have toys, and it was there's so much solitude and time for yourself. You probably, out of survival, and thankfully so, you learned to connect with that sort of your inner. What do you call it? Do you call it your soul, or do you call it your higher logic? Do you call it spirit?
I called it a handicap. And the reason I call it a handicap is because my parents and I had that survivorship mentality where you always had that, you had to be a survivor. You had to keep going. You had to keep surviving and not let everybody get you down. You can't let things hurt you. You can't let, people punish you. You call it discrimination. I mean, in Canada with Jews, there was a lot of discrimination.
Really?
A lot.
Canada's saying they're so multicultural and diverse.
Yeah, right. Not then.
Wow. I guess
then.
maybe not back then.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Toronto was 150,000 population at that time. Wow. Today's what, 8 million?
Yeah, something.
10 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 150,000 population back then.
Holy cow.
And so, it was just a survivorship. So I called it a handicap because nobody really lived with a survivorship type mentality. I mean, you lived, you went to work, you got up, you went to work, you went home, you just spent time with the family, blah, 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 blah. And, life was life.
Right.
Not the way I grew up. The way I grew up was everything was survivor. You had to go, you had to make it.
So did you have a lot of fear, or did you have confidence in your survival skills from your experiences? Like, did you fear, oh my God, where's the next, piece of bread going to come from? Where, am I going to lose my job? Or were you so used to surviving that you had confidence in your ability to survive?
Oh, no, the confidence was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the confidence was there. My father, he should rest his soul. My father was a gung-ho entrepreneur, businessman, which came later in his life and taught me business. He just taught me everything. Couldn't read, write, or speak English. But he spoke 7 other languages fluently.
Wow.
Just not English. Okay? And he went from a tailor, he was a tailor, material, to entrepreneur, and he many different businesses, and I took the ride with him, and I was working when I was 10 years old.
So you call it a handicap, and when you define it as a handicap, you're saying it's a bad thing or a negative thing? Is that how you're defining it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bad thing only because you don't have to have the mentality of being a survivor. You don't have to live with that survivor mentality because it's not a question of surviving. It's a question of attitude, work ethics, smartness, moxie, as they say in New York.
Yeah, moxie.
Gotta have a lot of moxie. It's really being a survivor mentality to me is a negative. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing, within the scope of my podcast and, the clients that I see, a lot of people have anxiety and fear.
Right.
Because they don't have the confidence in their ability to survive. That's
Right.
where a lot of the fear comes from. I'm
Exactly.
afraid of this. So that's their handicap, their lack of confidence in their ability to survive. So to them, that is their handicap and I can relate to this from where I have been in my life. What you're saying you're seeing it's a handicap. To me, I'm just like, holy shit, if I could go a fucking day, well, before, now I don't have any anxiety, but before I would have loved to feel so confident in my ability to survive in the world and not have anxiety. So it's interesting that you see, I mean, I understand that there's more to maybe the motive behind your fearlessness, but I mean, there's so many people, especially the next generation of kids. They're incapable. They're afraid to drive. They have so much fear because they haven't. We don't want people to go through the tremendous amount of pain you've gone through to feel fearless. Although you feel like no one should have to go through that anyways. There's a way that you can balance both, but it's almost like the opposite has happened. There's no survival skills, so people are afraid of everything. So how do you reconcile? So if you had it perfectly in the way you wanted to, be brought up or for the future generations, how can we have this fearlessness that you have? Like you're just so confident in your ability to survive without the feeling of it being negative. What would be a perfect scenario?
Okay.
And I'm going to have a drink of the bourbon and ginger ale you made me.
So everybody has a bottom. When you hit that bottom, there's nowhere else to go but up. Right?
It's very true. I was at my bottom too.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I don't have the fear, because it's like I don't have the fucking fear because I was at rock bottom.
The lack of fear gave you confidence.
Confidence, right? But we don't want to have to. Humans are so dumb. We have to hit rock bottom to learn.
Yes.
There's got to be a way to circumvent it.
Absolutely, you have to hit bottom.
So you believe in your wisdom that we all have to hit rock bottom to develop that?
At one
It's a
point, or
necessity?
whatever the bottom is, and there are different levels of bottom.
Sure.
My bottom was a concentration camp, poorness, poverty.
Yeah.
That was the bottom.
Sure.
Nothing worse can happen to you other than that.
Yeah.
So from there, everything is up. Everything's got to go up.
Right.
It gave us the confidence. But you never want to lose sight of, you have to know where you came from to know where you're going. Okay? So I knew where I came from. I didn't know where I was going to go, but I knew I was going to go up. I wasn't going to go down anymore. Right? And whatever up that bent.
Sure.
And I've said this so many times. Everybody says about success. It's I want to be successful. Well, what does that mean? Success is not a ladder. You don't have the top step of a staircase to reach success, because success is a journey. It's really not a destination. Right?
True.
You don't know what success is. To me, having $10 in my pocket was very successful. It was better than having 10 cents in your pocket.
True.
Until I got $20 in my pocket, it was better than $10. just kept on growing and growing and growing. And it's dedication. It's just working hard and not really having a direction, because you really don't know what direction to take.
Right.
Nobody has a crystal ball. Well, here I'm going to take road A to get to road B.
Sure.
You don't have that. Just one day at a time.
So what was your guiding compass? So we talked a little bit about, you said that you kind of innately had this ability to connect inward, I guess. What does that mean to you, or what does that feel like to you when you're being guided by a deeper place? Like versus your head. You know what I mean?
Try to.
So, like, for example, people use intuition, or they feel into like you get this inspiration to do something that your ego might be like, that is the fucking most ridiculous thing to do. But when you follow that bliss, you follow that sort of inspiration that comes from a place other than your ego, your logic, and you follow it, and it's like, oh God, that worked. I was right. So there's this part of us that people believe, this higher logic, where it comes from, I don't care. Universe, God, the monkey, aliens, I don't know, whatever. But it comes from another place other than the ego that inspires us into action. It sounds like what you were trying to explain, you kind of have that. So what's your perspective on it? So you call it intuition.
Intuition.
Okay. And so
inner feeling of am I doing the right thing? Am I not doing the right thing? Should I try it? Should I not try it? What I got to lose if I try it? Okay.
So that was part of you from when you were young.
Absolutely. Upside, downside, from when I was very young. Let me try this. Let me try that. Mm-hmm. Some things work. Some things didn't work.
And so how did you reconcile that when you followed your intuition and it didn't work?
I learned from it.
You always had the optimistic perspective.
Oh, absolutely. You have to be optimistic. Yeah. Even in your most worst days, this too shall pass.
Oh.
This too shall pass.
Okay.
And there's another better day coming. And boy, I've had my ups and downs. I've been in more businesses than you could shake a stick at.
Really?
Oh my God.
How many? Can you count?
20.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
20. My favorite business was the jewelry business. Fine jewelry. I became a gemologist.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Diamond cutter, custom jeweler.
Wow.
Everything I wear, I made.
How did you get into it?
1975. My ex-wife, my second ex-wife, her father was a jeweler on 47th Street in Manhattan, the jewelry capital of the world. And they taught me the business in 1975.
How long did you do?
I've been doing this now, 50 years, 45 years.
Wow. How long did you do it for?
45. I'm still doing it.
Oh, you're still doing it?
Still doing it.
Oh,
I love it. I love it. I love it. My father-in-law always used to say to me, the jewelry business is a hard way to make an easy dollar. And it's true. It's so true. So, yeah, optical business. I had 5 stores.
Okay.
With an optometrist partner, eye doctor.
Wow.
I had a check cashing business. I had a pawn shop. I had a liquor business. I've had real estate.
So how did you put these businesses together? Like, you obviously had to have a brick and mortar for them, right? So did you have partners? Did you have save the money, or
just me?
Or did you just wheel and deal with the owners? Like how do you start a business with no money? I'm sure you've been in that position before.
Many times.
Legally as possible.
Everything I did was somewhat legal.
Well, you can share the legal and illegal ways. I don't care, but
okay. Legally, you find a way. My passion is not a particular business. My passion is business. I don't care what business. I mean, just take this studio, okay? John, my nephew John Orlando, who's my partner and my nephew, came to me and said 2.5 years ago, Uncle Marvin, I want to open up a studio. I don't know the first thing about podcasting, okay?
And yet here you are
And yet
as
here
a
I am.
podcast host.
Right. Now I'm the CFO of this business, right?
Right.
Okay, so he comes to me and I said, John, what's podcasting? And he explained to me what podcasting was. He gave me a short rundown of what he thinks we could make in the first few months, blah, 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 blah. I have a lot of faith in my nephew because we've been in business before and other ventures.
Okay.
And some of them have made it, some of them haven't made it. That's the way life is. And I said, okay, let's do it. And we did it. And from day one, this business has made money.
Wow.
From day one. So I'm very blessed, and he's running it correctly. We have great people here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are just phenomenal.
They are. The vibe here is just, it's stellar. It's so good. The creativity.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, the creativity and the energy, the positivity. Everyone's giving hugs. It's
I'm
so
sorry.
welcoming.
How long you been? How long you been doing a podcast here?
Gosh, I think in October will be my 1-year anniversary.
Wow, it's almost a year.
I think so.
Wow.
August.
And
maybe
you're enjoying
November.
it. You're enjoying it.
Oh my God, it's been so healing for me.
Good.
And it's helped so much too. Actually, John reached out to me. I don't think anyone knows this story. Maybe when he was on my podcast, but I had moved back here. I did a little interlude in Seattle just because I wanted to get away from here with everything that I was recovering from. And I think a couple months back, he just found me on Facebook and he's like, you look like someone who needs a podcast. Because I was doing, speaking, I was doing videos and whatever. And I was like, oh, interesting. I sat down and talked to him. I said, listen, I actually am just in the middle of either signing, trying to maybe get a PR firm or getting PR shit going because I needed to get a lot of the misinformation about my legal case under control and all the things. He's like, listen, I used to be a PR person and did the whole story and I was just like, okay, well that makes sense. He said, even if I was doing PR today, I would still have you do a podcast because what you want is to get your content down. And then he told me about Christina Lauren, who has Fearless as Fuck here. She did the same thing. She was like just coming out of something traumatic and she just grew and grew. And now she's into her badass self. And I'm like, okay, I could see the importance of getting the content out to push down a lot of that garbage. Not that I wanted to run away from it. I just didn't want it to define me and my story.
Sure.
And I wanted to be able to manage it in a better way. And I wanted to be able to get my story out. I wanted to, I was really stepping out in the world again. I was starting to get my confidence. So John kind of, saw me as a potential. He saw something in me that I kind of saw in myself, and wow, now I'm back into speaking and I'm traveling around speaking, and I've restarted my coaching business in a whole new way. And the podcast was so pivotal, not just in my healing process, but in helping me assimilate my thoughts. And obviously it helped with all the content, pushing it down and helping get the inspiration, all these other things. And now I have a whole career in speaking.
Isn't that great?
And maybe acting and all the other fun things I like to do. So
one door closes, another door opens, and usually the door that opens for the better.
Yeah.
Always.
Right.
See, that you have to have that optimistic outlook in life. Life should be taken easy.
I like that. That's exactly what I've learned. I want easy. I used to do it the hard way, and I'm like, fuck the hard way. There's no one benefits from the hard way.
Absolutely.
Okay,
not.
I love that. I love that advice. I'm taking that.
Take life easy. Take your passions serious.
Sure.
Take your work seriously, but take life easy. Everything works out. Believe me, everything works out in the end. I've been up, I've been down, I've been over, and I've been out. Thank you, Mr. Sinatra.
Right.
But it's okay.
So when someone's in the midst of like an anxiety attack, or their life is falling apart, or their venture, have a drink.
Have a drink.
Okay, let's cheers to that.
Cheers.
And what do we drink?
Yeah.
What do we drink?
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
You know what that means?
Yeah. No.
L'chaim is Hebrew, means to life.
It means to life. I've heard it
Right.
many times. I've said
Now,
it.
my
but
uncle
okay.
is doing l'chaim in Sing Sing. I'm just kidding.
Okay. L'chaim. And what are we drinking? What is the drink you recommend for everybody?
Diet ginger ale and a good bourbon.
Cheers to that. And it's very, very good. Yes. Okay, so have a drink, calm down, and then
relax. Don't do drugs.
Okay, don't do drugs.
Have a drink.
Have a drink.
Don't do drugs.
And then because the mindset, what I'm hearing you say is the mindset is really, really important. You say take a positive mindset, allow yourself to know that another day will be better, just chill and relax. So what, other than a drink, what would you suggest someone to just relax? Is there a mantra?
Have sex.
Yes? Oh.
Takes a lot of anxiety out.
Drink and sex. Okay, perfect. No drugs, but drink and sex.
Absolutely.
I like it.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
Nothing.
It works for me too.
Yeah, right. Okay, I rest my point.
Okay, that's perfect. Anything else? After the drink, after the sex.
After the sex, you're going to have anxiety. There's
Okay.
Inevitably, you're going to end up with some anxiety. Get over it.
Okay.
Let it go through your system. A day, 2 days, whatever it takes, and then get yourself back on your feet and say, hey, that's not going to let me get down. I'm not going to get down on this.
So go through your system, like in your head, cry, like physically.
Yeah, think about what your anxiety over.
Okay.
What is your anxiety over?
So like contemplate.
Contemplate.
Yeah.
Think of it. What is it? I'm breaking up with my girlfriend, breaking up with my wife. I mean, somebody just robbed me. Whatever it is, this too shall pass.
Okay. Yeah.
This
Beautiful.
too shall pass.
It's so true. Those are words that I really have lived by too. I mean, in 2 weeks, everything changes. Sometimes in a day, in an afternoon, something can change. It really,
right.
for me, it's state of being. It's like what you're saying. It's allowing yourself to just chill out, like relax, know that everything will work out. But it's in the state of like being chill where shit works out.
Exactly.
If you're anxious and you take action from an anxious point, and then it's like the fucking spiral and the tornado just keeps going. If you just step back and you go, this is going to just be okay and everything's going to be chill. It's that space that you're in that I think makes it. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because like when you're anxious, shit just keeps going, right?
Absolutely.
It's like you have a bad day, you bonk your head, and then you fucking drop your phone, and then you just perpetuate. It's happened to you?
Right, yeah. Listen, I've been married almost 60 years, okay? If I add all 3 wives together.
Okay.
You want to talk about anxiety?
Wait, the marriage was anxiety or the 3 wives?
Both. My third one, I have to tell you, my current wife is the best thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life.
Wow, tell me why.
Because I married my best friend.
Right.
It's not about love. It's about like. You have to like the person you're with. Not love them. Forget about love. Nobody knows what love is.
So I was going to ask you, it's actually on my list. What does love mean to you at this?
There's no such thing to me as love.
Really?
Yeah. You can love something today. I love my dog. I love my cat. Right? I love my house. Doesn't mean anything.
Old, right?
It gets old. I like my wife. She's my best friend. We have been together since 2002. We're married since 2009. Now, my other 2 wives, I have to admit, and I don't pull no fucking punches, okay? I used to cheat on them terribly because I didn't like them. And because of my generation, now I'm going to be 80 years old.
Wow.
But in my age, I got married when I was 21
Oh, God.
to my first wife. By the time I was 23, I had 2 kids.
Wow. Oh, my God.
Okay?
That's nuts.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
But that was prevalent in my generation. And there was a lot of anxiety going through that stuff. And the first thing I learned, unfortunately, they were Jewish wives. My third wife is not Jewish. That's probably why it's good.
So, okay. Enlighten me. What's the difference between a Jewish wife and a non-Jewish wife? Oh, no.
Here we go. Okay.
I opened Pandora's box.
Here we go.
Oh,
Here we go.
God.
Jewish women are demanding.
Okay.
And it took me 2 wives to find out that incompatible. There's 3 reasons why a marriage doesn't work.
Oh.
Marriage doesn't work because, in my expertise, in my experience, okay, number 1, money. Number 2, sex. And number 3, just plain incompatibility.
So, and what are the most common ways people are incompatible? Just you don't like them, or
Yeah,
someone
there's always-
chews with their mouth open, the other one hates it.
Exactly,
Those types of things.
exactly. But that's the third reason.
So, does that happen though? Because I was married I was with my ex-husband for 14 years, married 11, and there was one thing that used to really piss me off about him, and I didn't know if this was incompatibility or just my general annoyance with him because of other things. He would leave the Gatorade bottle on the counter right in the middle after I would clean everything up. And he knows to put it in the side. I mean, I would always be, if he had a particularity, I would always be, I would follow through and I was respectful. And it felt very disrespectful to me. And it was a little thing. It was meaningful to me because I cleaned. And it started to eat at me to the point where I thought that in relationships going forward, like I couldn't cohabitate with someone. But I mean, he also ended up having other kind of inattention and weirdnesses about him. But what do you think that compatibility is something that you learn over time, or you know it right away, or is that compatibility just part of the nature of being suffocating and in each other's space all the time? Or maybe all of those.
Okay. You mentioned the magic word, respect.
Right.
Marriage starts, figure like a ball. It starts with 100%. And as you get to know the person better and better and better, that 100% starts shrinking.
Does it have to? Does it always shrink?
It always shrinks. It just depends to what degree.
Oh.
Nobody's 100% with everybody.
Okay.
There's no perfect man. There's no perfect woman for anybody.
Right.
But hopefully you end up with a larger percentage of positive than you do negative. Because once you pass that 50% mark, forget it. It's over.
So what's ideal? So you're saying 50%. Like, is 51% enough to...
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
As long as there's a majority that you like the
Absolutely.
person, there will be respect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, forgive and forget.
Okay.
Take it easy.
As long as
Relax.
they're mostly good, not annoying.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They're not 100. Nobody can be 100% with anybody.
Okay.
Nobody. I don't care who you
That
are.
is true. Yeah.
Including Moses, Jesus. I don't care who you are.
Even with myself, I want to be 100% with myself, and sometimes I'm just like, bitch, you're being an idiot right now. Like, I can't even tolerate myself.
Hello.
Hence why
Yeah,
I have a
hello.
drink.
I'll drink to that.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's just like you need to just numb yourself from yourself,
Absolutely.
right? So how can we expect other people to be 100% if we know we can't be for ourselves sometimes?
Exactly right.
And we accept
Now,
ourselves.
if you
and-
know what? If you don't fight with your husband or your wife, you got a problem. You have to have a fight.
So you think fighting is good?
Absolutely.
I think it's good too. Okay.
Absolutely.
Is it why? So tell me
It
why
gets
you
out your
think.
inner inhibitions.
Okay.
If you're really true with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
tell it like it is. You know, if you didn't like something your wife or your husband did, tell them.
Okay.
And if you don't tell them, how are they going to know?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Like, I'll yell at my wife. My wife yells at me. You know, my wife, this is going to sound so strange. We have a little joke. Like, we wake up in the morning, we have our coffee, and I'll say to her, hey, bitch, get me a cup of coffee.
Oh my God.
And you know what she says to me? Oh, he loves me. Because she knows when I call her a bitch, I mean it in the most tenderest of ways. Because that's my way of telling her I love her. Whatever love means.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So when I call her a bitch, she knows that I love her.
That's cute.
And she'll say, oh, he loves me. You know? Or we wake up in the morning and we walk by each other in the hallway. We have the best hall sex in the world.
Really?
Oh, the best hall sex in the world. She walks by me, I walk by her. She tells me to go fuck myself. I tell her to go fuck herself. It's the best sex in the world.
Oh my God. That's cute.
But laughter is the key.
Mm-hmm.
We laugh all the time. All the time. I got to tell you, we just came off, I have a 35-foot motorhome. We put about a year ago, January, we put our car on the back of our motorhome, and for a year and a half, we traveled the United States, just me and my wife, in a 35-foot motorhome.
Wow.
We had the best time, 24/7 together, working together. In each campground, you got to hook up, you got to do this, you got to do that. She cooked, I cleaned, whatever, We just came off the road. We're moving back in our house now. But I'm telling you, we covered 28 states, put on 10,000 miles, and had the best time.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to miss it. But we're going to be back in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the point I'm trying to make is that we were together 24/7, and we laughed. Not 100% of the time,
Right.
80% of the time. Yelled at her, screamed, and yes, of course we did. So what?
Right.
So what?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, laughter is really, really important. That's part of liking someone.
Absolutely.
It's that fun, positive vibe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you laugh a lot?
I laugh all the time. I laugh when I'm by myself. Just the shit that comes to my head. I literally will be giggling at myself just because.
Isn't that great?
Yes.
Isn't that great?
It is. Laughter is a really, really important part of my life, in my relationship too. I mean, we're giggling all the time. I feel like a little schoolgirl all the time because I feel like I had this image back in 2017. Like, I want a relationship. Firstly, I want to feel like I am a kid in a sandbox. I want to be playing and creating and innovating and just doing brilliance in my little harmonious little sandbox. And people are allowed to join me in the sandbox, but the rules are no arguing. I mean, there might be disagreements, but that's a flexible thing. But everyone wants to be in a creative mode, positive, harmonious, getting along as best we can, and just creating our best life. That's where I lived in. And I've created that so much in my life. And when you are creative and bubbly, and kids are giggling all the time.
Absolutely.
And that's how I live my life. People are like, you're so, you're a woman, obviously, but you're so lively and you're so childlike, not childish, childlike. And it's like, yes, that's how I feel authentically me, giggling and funny and being ridiculous. And yes, I have a very dirty mind because I have 2 older brothers, but it all is just about laughter. I need it in my life so much. And since I've really come into myself after all my legal battle and the craziness, I just don't give a fuck about anything. And I mean, like, I value things, but I relax so much. I have to just like take a chill pill in
Exactly.
retort, not literally, although sometimes with a drink, but and then I just go back to giggling and having fun, and like there's so much worse that can be going on in life.
Yeah.
So, but I love laughter. It's so therapeutic. It's so important to me.
I was married the second time to my ex-wife. I put her through school. She became a psychologist.
Oh, nice.
We were married 28 years. We lived in a 6,000 square foot brick home, acre and a half of land, had boats, had cars. I'm a pilot. We had a plane. We flew all over the country. Unhappy for 25 of those 28 years.
Oh, wow.
All that stuff, and I mean stuff.
Sure.
I had a huge business, jewelry. I had a 4,000 square foot jewelry business. It was huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're doing very, very well. I had it for years. Unhappy. Money cannot buy you honey, as they say. It can buy you things, can't buy you happiness. Cannot buy you happiness. That divorce cost me $3.5 million. Came out of it with nothing. I was the happiest I'd ever been.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Came here to Vegas in 2002, and I started all over again. And you know what? So what? Did it before, did it again. It's my third time starting again. But I knew how to do it the first two times. Why not do it the third? Right?
Wow.
Why not? Started with nothing. So I just started all over again. It's you said it the first time, the confidence that you have to have in yourself.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't lose that. Just don't lose that. No matter what your passion, vocation, whatever you got, don't lose it. And that's where people, the reason most successful people go broke is they can't handle success.
Oh.
They can't handle it. They don't know what it is. They don't know what it means.
So what does it mean?
It means being happy, content with yourself. It's not about things. It's not about what you can buy. It's not what, it's those things come naturally, It's being content with yourself. Have I lived up to what I wanted to do? I turned 50 years old, and I said to myself, self, what would I like to do that I've never done before in my life? And I was making good money and everything. And I said, ooh, pilot. I want to become a pilot. At 50 years old, I went back to school. Took me 2 years, blah, 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 blah. 2 years later, I had my license. Okay? Flew all over the country. I got over 1,000 hours of flying time. I love it, But it's just a challenge. It's another thing. Can I do this? Yes, I can do this. Why not? There's nothing I can't do. Well, maybe not at my age. But there's nothing I couldn't do before. Nothing.
So then to build confidence for people that may not have confidence, are you suggesting they continue to challenge themselves as a way to overcome that?
I think it's more of an just an inner thing that you have to have. I don't think you can teach yourself how to have confidence. I don't think anybody can teach you how to have confidence. I think you just have it's an inner desire to better yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's an inner desire to not be content with just what you got, or not even setting goals. It's just, I never knew where I was going to go. I never knew where I was going to end up. I just took one step at a time. Whatever felt good.
But you knew you were going to be okay because you had confidence.
Always. I was
Yeah.
never going to go back to the concentration days.
So that was a point of reflection for you always.
Exactly. Always. That's
Wow.
my base.
Yeah.
Anything above that, I'm doing great.
Wow.
You know?
That's powerful. I mean, I know I'm so sorry you went through that, but that's like that served you, and you've taken something so horrible and so traumatic
turned
and
it into a positive.
and you turned it.
To a positive.
Yeah.
Right. The problem is everybody takes everything negative and they stay there.
Yeah.
And you can't. You're here for a very short period of time. It goes by in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? 80 years old. Are you kidding me? I still feel like I'm 50.
Right.
You know, I don't act like 50 anymore, but I don't move like I'm 50 anymore. But I still feel like I'm 50 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be 80. And I'm saying to myself, oh my God. And then I look back in retrospect and I say, look, everything I've accomplished. Sure, I've had failures.
Mm-hmm.
I learned from those things. It only bettered my life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I've had failures in marriages. And you know, it's not all their fault. It's me too.
Sure.
Right? But we change. And when we change, we mature more,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully. Right? We hopefully change for the better. And I think I have. And I certainly have become wiser, that's for sure, only because of the longevity that I've lived.
Mm.
I never went to Harvard or Yale. I graduated from a school in New York called FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology.
Really?
It was a two-year school, okay? And I graduated in marketing. And it's what I wanted to do, you know, and it turned out great, you know. If I look back now, all my kids, I have 4 children, I have 6 grandchildren, and all the kids are doing great. Everybody's doing fine. Well, listen, I've done my job.
So what is the meaning of life? Like, why are we here? What's our purpose?
For kids.
Really?
If you don't have kids, like today's day, I don't understand today's generation. First of all, they get married way too late. When they get married way too late, the chances of having children are way too late. They don't experience having kids. It's the greatest experience in the world.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, I loved it. Oh, I'm telling you, 2 kids by the time I was 23.
What about the people that just don't feel the desire to? What do you? What's
gonna-
wrong with them? Is there something wrong with them, or
I think it's a lack of self-confidence.
you think so?
Oh, absolutely. Maybe it's the drive that they think, oh, I got to get ahead. I got to become successful. What does that mean? What does that mean? The drive, the money. I mean, you know what money is? You know what money is?
What?
It's a barometer. It's how well or how bad you're doing. Just a barometer. If you have a lifestyle and you bring in enough money to cover that lifestyle, you're doing great. If you're not doing so hot.
Well, that's the problem is people want to be doing really, really, really exceptionally well.
What does that mean? What does really, really, really doing well mean?
It's individual. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm happy where I am. I mean, yes, I have my ambitions and the things I want to do, but I do it because it's a
Because of
desire of
passion.
mine and because it's a passion. I'm aligning my
That's
life so much
different.
with passion. It's not about the money. I don't dream about money. Of course, money is a byproduct and you get it.
Absolutely.
But people are so fixated on the dollar. I think there are very, very few people, if anyone, I could be wrong, maybe you can chime in, that are genuinely, authentically driven for money. I think it's a very ego construct.
Most people are generally driven by money.
But I don't think it's authentic. Do you think it's authentic?
Yeah. I think they have to have that extra BMW, or they got to have the Mercedes, or they got to have the big house, they got to have the Ferrari, whatever it is. Who cares? I've been there, done that. You know what? I've had it all. Means absolutely shit. Means nothing. Having the things means nothing. Having a happy life means everything.
Right.
Being content with yourself means everything.
Oh my God, that's so true. It's just resonating with me so much. I mean, it's exactly what I move people and inspire people to have. It's about authentic living, and being authentic means doing what you love to do, what makes you really happy. It's not about the dollars or the money I really believe that if you're doing what you're passionate about, and it truly makes you happy, from that state, all the things will be provided for you, right?
It'll come.
Yeah.
It'll absolutely come. It came to me.
Did it? So that philosophy works for you, yeah?
Absolutely. I've had so many businesses at one time or separately. It came. Whatever. And what does that mean? It brought me another car, another pair of pants,
True.
another shirt. Who cares?
Right.
Did it bring me happiness? I made my own happiness.
Yeah.
You have to find out what that happiness is. And I found out that the happiness is finding your best friend. I think once you find your best friend, the rest is easy. Life is easy.
So do you feel it's important or a staple for someone for us to be coupled? Maybe not necessarily in a marriage situation or whatever, but to have another person to walk with in this life?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't live by yourself.
Right.
What are you achieving? What are you proving?
Things are so much better when you have someone that you
Absolutely.
can play in the sandbox with,
But
right?
on the other end of it is if you find the wrong person, it's miserable, isn't it?
So, yes. So how do you suggest people find the right person?
Don't look for it.
That's exactly how I found my person. I finally gave up and I said, I'm done. I'm just going to do my life and love my
Don't
life.
look for it.
Right.
You don't look for it, it'll come.
But you genuinely have to not be looking for it. Not like fake not looking for it. Like
Absolutely.
genuinely have to be distracted by something else.
I have to tell you the quick story how me and my wife met.
Okay.
Okay, real quick.
Sure.
I had the jewelry store, 4,000 square feet. Okay, I had a huge office. I had cameras in my office, every angle of the store. Okay, I had 13 people working in the counters and jewelers. Okay, and one night I was sitting in my office looking at the cameras. Must have been around 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. We were open till 9 every night. And this particular night I worked late, and in walks this blonde. And I said to myself, I got to go out and meet this one. So I went out there, and she was looking at the counter, all the jewelry, and I asked her if I could help her. She says, I'm just looking. I said, yeah, it's okay. She says, what's for sale? I said, everything, including me.
You flirt.
Yes. And we started talking. She came into my office. Now, mind you, I've been in the entertainment business also. So in my office, I had pictures of all the entertainers with me. Pictures of entertainers. And she was very impressed. I also had a picture of my airplane. Okay? Very impressed. And we started talking, and one thing led to another, and we went on a dinner date. And once again, one thing led to another, and we just kind of liked each other. It was just one of those things.
Yeah.
She was married. I was married. Okay?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. But she was unhappily married, I should preface.
Yeah,
And I was unhappily married, I should preface.
sure.
So when you're unhappily married, those antlers are out there
Yeah.
looking, right? What are you looking for? Happiness,
Right.
a friend.
Yeah.
And I found my friend.
Wow.
So from then on, we were inseparable from 2002 on. And it just, it was been great. So and we're still together. So,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean we don't fight. We
Sure.
still fight, but who cares? We made a pact. We don't go to sleep angry.
Does that work?
For the most part, yes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So how do you do that? So if you get into an
Talk it
argument,
out before you go to bed.
really?
Talk it out before you go to bed. Bedtime is the best time.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, makeup sex is always great, but right? I'm not wrong.
As long as you're not doing it out of anger.
No, I've never had makeup sex out of anger. I think makeup sex is
But emotional.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So see, for me, I get very shook when I've been in an argument with my person, my partner, whatever, my guy. And
I'm glad you just said your woman.
my person, I don't like the traditional like boyfriend, fiance, whatever, any of that stuff. So my person, but who's a man. And we got in our last disagreement it was very charged. We've only been in 3, and this last one was kind of intense for me. And because I was going through so much, there's a lot going on, and then this happened, and I couldn't resolve anything that night.
You know why?
Oh, tell me.
My estimation,
Why?
because you carried over the stuff you were going through, had nothing to do with him. You carried that into your anger. It just manifested into more anger. Happens all the time.
So there could be a part of that.
You didn't resolve the old before you went into the new.
No, there was. No, that was what the issue was. I was so surprised at the intensity of how much he was upset. It shocked me because this was, again, our third argument in a shorter period of time. So we haven't been together for a long, long time. And we have so much, he's my best friend. We just giggle. Like, he's my sandbox buddy. He's my bestest friend. Like, we're just so, like, I totally relate with what you're saying with best friend. Like, I found my person, like, forever happy best friend, whether we're romantically together or not. Like, I get him, he gets me. But it shook me because it wasn't even so much the issue that happened. It was that he escalated, and the way he came at me was so intense that shook me. I had to take a whole other moment to process just the fact that he was so intense. Like, his intensity really affected me. So I'm like, your reaction to what was going on and you knowing everything else I was going through or whatever, I feel like I need to process, and I need to calm myself down before we can resolve things, because it was really an intense thing for me. So what do you make of that? Was I right for saying, I communicated, I said, I heard you. We resolved, we had talked a little bit. I said, I heard you. I understand your issue. I explained, we both heard each other and we calmed down, but I couldn't feel tender and open because I was shook by just the intensity of which he responded to.
You were afraid of you were more challenged by the attack.
I was. That's it. I couldn't just warm up to him because I felt it was so. There was
why am I deserving this attack?
Yeah, it was intense. And he's Sicilian. He's got some Sicilian in him. So it's da 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 da. And I'm just like, I'm feeling like I'm being reprimanded. And I'm like, I've never been yelled at like this.
Sicilians are like that.
He's French, Sicilian, and Spanish. So he's got the lover. He's got all the things. But the Sicilian came out, and I was like, it was so overwhelming because I
grew up with the Sicilians all my life.
And I've very passive aggressive parents. Like they would yell, done, over, but then everything else was passive aggressive. So the Sicilian shit fucking really, it was a lot. Yeah. So I don't know if that qualifies as what you're saying, going to bed angry, but I was so shook. I'm like, I can't even, I know we resolved-ish, or we were kind of at an understanding, but I'm like, I can't cuddle with you. I can't.
But the issue was more with him than it was with you. There was other underlying issues that he was having other than, I think.
Yeah, he was triggered, I guess, by my internal. So what had happened is he was over, he came for the weekend, and I was, there was something that kind of triggered me. I got insecure. I recognized I go inside, and he felt slighted. He felt it was disrespectful. He's like, I'm a visitor in your home, and you went internal. And like, I felt, and I didn't realize that was firstly offensive. I'm so used to coping on my own. You know, my family's all in Canada. I went through my indictment alone. I'm used to internalizing, figuring it out, and then coming out. But apparently that's not how he does things. And he felt that was very personally disrespectful, that he felt like I withdrew, and I didn't know that. And so I apologized. I am so sorry. But the intensity at which he came at me was so much. And I was already feeling insecure about something that was going on. And then I was trying to process it, not like disturb him, not like make a big deal. I'm like, I got this, I can work it out. But just him feeling me disconnect was like so intense.
How did it end up?
Well, I heard him, and I recognized, I said, I didn't realize that I did that, and I didn't realize that it affected you so much. I apologized, and I said, I will try to be more cognizant when I start to feel that withdrawal, because I know when it happens, and I'll try to be more communicative. And he understood, and everything was fine, but I was shook by how intense.
What did you learn from it?
I learned that he's very intense. I learned that I have a difficult time dealing with the intensity, but most importantly, I learned that I was shutting him out unintentionally when he wanted to be a partner. He wanted to be a part of my shit, and he gives a fuck about me, and I was so used to being by myself and not having someone have my back.
What do you think he learned?
Not to fucking yell at me, because I basically told him, I said, the next time you yell at me, I will, if you threaten to go or you can't, I will have you go, because I won't handle that. So he knows my limit. He knows that the next time he yells, he will be asked to leave, or I will leave.
Okay. So here's my interpretation.
Yes,
Ready?
Please.
So the argument, I would consider, like business a failure. Okay?
The argument was a failure, or the outcome was a failure?
No, the argument in comparison is like in business having a failure.
I see.
And what do you do with a failure? You learn from it. The argument, what did you learn from it? You learn something. Mm-hmm. So you don't do it again. Or you know how to handle it. Mm-hmm. If it does happen again. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. Okay? Mm-hmm. It's part of what they call life.
It sucks so bad, though.
But it doesn't. Life does not suck. Life is terrific. It's what you make of it.
No, it's true. I mean, I did learn quite a bit. He learned
you
a
don't
lot.
Think
And it
I
actually bonded us. It actually brought
made
us
you closer.
Very close.
Exactly.
Yeah. We learned each other's limits. We learned a lot.
Okay, so
yes.
It was a failure that you learned from. Now it's a positive.
It's true. Yeah.
Okay. So I have anxiety. I still have anxiety sometimes. You know. But I've learned how to cope with that anxiety. I've learned how to handle it. Okay, and I may go through it for 8 or 10 or 12 hours, whatever, but I don't allow it. That's the key. I don't allow it to overwhelm me. I won't allow it to overwhelm me. It doesn't pay.
Right. Yeah.
Life is too short. Why do that?
That's true. Are there particular things, like is it one or a handful of themes that create anxiety in you? Or is it random, like different things?
It's usually surrounded around one. It's usually surrounded around money, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, usually around money. It's oh, you spent too much. You did this. You did that. But that's my survivorship coming out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So how do you cope
my-
with that? Drink
It's
and
hard.
sex?
Very difficult.
Or
Very
is it? Yeah.
very difficult to handle it because of my survivorship
Yeah.
mentality. Very difficult to handle it. Now, just to give you a little relationship, my father, we had a liquor business in the South Bronx, the worst neighborhood in the country. Okay? And the liquor store was mine. I had it for 6 years. And toward the end, I wanted out. My father was my partner. And I wanted out. My father took it over. And because of his survivorship mentality, like, it's mine, you don't take it away from me. I was held up 6 times in that store with guns pointed to my head. But because of the environment that I grew up with, and I grew up with a pretty tough bunch of people. And I'm talking about Italian, Sicilian.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Okay, so
Enough said.
yeah. Even though I'm Jewish, but I was taken in, and anyway,
Okay. Wow.
I always carried a gun, always. And my father never believed in guns because he lived through the war and everything else. He never believed in guns. But so one day, after I had left the business, he was still there trying to sell the store, and I already gone. I moved to Chicago, and 3 guys came in and held him up and shot him and killed him in a holdup over a 70-cent bottle of wine because he had that mentality. You don't take it, it's mine, and you're not taking it, I earned it. It's you don't take what's mine and get away with it. And that's that mentality.
Yeah.
Okay? And he got killed. He got killed over a 70-cent bottle of wine. Now, I didn't go that far. What I used to tell the guys is, listen, you could take anything you want in this store. I'll gift wrap it for you. But if you lay one finger on me, it's going to be you or me or both of us. We're both going down. Don't touch me. You can have anything you want. Take the money, take the booze, take whatever you want. Don't lay a finger on me. And they know I meant it the way I said it.
Sure. Yeah.
And each 6 times, it was fine. I had insurance. Who cared?
Oh, okay.
I was covered. Who cared? You could take.
Right.
My father had insurance. Didn't matter. But he has that survivorship mentality, which I inherited. I have it. And that's when I go through my in answer to your question.
Yeah.
That's when I go through my anxiety, when it's about money. Money to me is security. Okay?
Right.
And now that I have it, I don't want to lose it. And it's that easy, I mean, right now my wife is in our house, redecorated because we had the house rented out. So she's painting and carpeting and flooring and take it easy, will you? Take it easy. Take it easy. I'm seeing hundreds here, hundreds there, going out like crazy. going to turn out to be really nice.
Sure.
But, you know,
Yeah.
but you got to make her happy too, you know?
That's right.
So,
Money is a very charged thing. You know, people we're
yeah.
so obsessed with it. It's such a
Yeah.
currency that we live by, but and we let it dictate ourselves, but there's so many other ways that we can create what we want in our life without necessarily needing money.
Unfortunately, it's a necessary evil.
It is, right?
It is, and it's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the only way you can tell if you're doing okay or not. Right?
Yeah, I mean, so what do you say then about someone who might be a painter they call them starving artists. Not all artists are starving, but they're doing their passion do you think that they can really be happy just doing their passion and not?
Until they find out that it may be a passion, but it may not be a way of making a living. So you still have the passion. My passion is flying. I love being an aviator, you know, but I'm not going to make a living at it. But it's my passion, you know. My main passion is business. I mean, that's what I wake up in the morning for.
That's awesome.
You know, and
Yeah.
one business is just like another business. You know, it's easy. It's easy. For me, it's easy.
Right.
You know, because I've been doing so many different ones that
Right.
I
Right.
come to realize they're all the same.
That's so interesting. Wow. I wanted to ask you, what were some of like the medical treatments or were there any type of medical quirks that you had in your culture in your upbringing? There's, I don't know, one of these movies, there was this one, I don't know, was it, it's one of those, My Big Fat Greek Wedding or something. Someone always used Windex for like pimples or whatever. And is there any quirky, weird medical thing that you used to use or you
Yeah,
subscribe to?
chicken soup.
Chicken soup?
Chicken soup
Okay. For what?
cures a common cold.
Yeah?
Yeah,
You really
it
believe
works. Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, ask any Jewish woman. Chicken soup.
Was there anything specific in the chicken soup, like noodles and chicken and broth? Was there?
Biologically, it does cure the cold.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's certain chemicals in the soup or whatever, but the broth and the chicken, it just. My mother used to give me chicken soup whenever I got sick.
And
I
it
got
helped
sick
you.
of chicken soup.
That's right. Exactly. Oh my God, I couldn't imagine eating so much chicken soup.
But she made a great chicken soup.
I bet. My mom used to use Vicks for everything.
Vicks
In the
vapor rub.
nose,
Yeah.
on the
Oh, yeah,
chest,
yeah,
on the
yeah,
bottoms of
yeah,
the feet.
Yeah.
And the frickin' like
Oh, it smelled like
little they used to use the cloth diapers when we were babies, so she would put like the cloth diaper stuff on our chest.
But it worked.
It did. I mean, it
did.
opened up the nasal
Opens up-
passages.
Absolutely, right.
So we
right.
didn't do the nasal soup, or we did the
Well,
nasal
my
soup.
mother used to
the
give
chicken
me-
soup. She would just do the vapor rub. She's like, whatever. She didn't have time, so she just slathered us and it just opened up our faculties.
Yeah, when I was constipated, my mother was a kid. My mother used to give me X-Lax.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
X-Lax.
X-Lax.
Wow, that'll do the trick.
Yeah.
for sure.
So yeah, I miss my mother's cooking. That's for sure. Oh,
Yeah,
she
what was your favorite
terrific,
dish?
She was a baker also. She made what's called a German strudel, which was
German strudel.
strudel. It's a pastry,
Okay.
and it's out of this world. I mean, it would take her hours and hours to make it, and she would make two big, huge rolls of it. And it had strawberry jam and nuts and raisins, and it was just incredible. Cinnamon. It was incredible, just incredible.
Yummy.
And I thought my sister, who lives in New Jersey, might have gotten the recipe, but she never got the recipe.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's a lost pastry.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
too bad.
Too bad, yeah.
My grandmother, she's from, well, Ukrainian or Czech. I mean, depending on how the borders were. have a lot of
Yeah, you're from the same neck of the woods as I am.
yeah. So Polish, Ukrainian,
That's where
Czech, the whole.
I was born in Poland,
Oh, you were okay.
Krakow.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And she used to make pierogies or
Pierogies,
pita and
yeah.
cabbage rolls
Potato
and
or
not chicken.
cheese,
Yes, exactly.
and you fry them up.
So you boil them the
delicious.
next day with sour cream and onions.
Oh,
my God. So
incredible.
before she passed, I made sure that, she taught me how to do it, and I mastered. It took me years to master the
Yeah.
pinching. If you don't have the dough right and the pinch,
forget it.
they break, they're too thin
Absolutely.
or whatever.
Or your potatoes are too thin.
That's right, or they're
much
too
milk in
sticky,
it.
and then it's an art form. Like this
Absolutely.
peasant food
Absolutely.
is the most difficult fucking thing to make.
And then fry those babies up, and oh my God.
And
incredible.
They're so good.
Incredible.
So I did get that recipe before she passed.
Pierogi. My
It was
mother
so
used to
good.
make pierogies all the time. Delicious.
They're so good.
Yeah. She also used to make a potato kugel. Potato pudding.
Oh, okay.
My sister did get that recipe. So when I
good.
go to Jersey, she makes it for us.
Oh, wow.
It's delicious.
But you can't really eat that anymore, can you, though?
No,
Because you're on a very you and I are in a very similar diet.
You know what? I'm telling you, keto
I
is
know.
incredible.
Life-changing.
I started 265 about a year and 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down to 195.
It's amazing.
I haven't been 195 since I was born.
That's great. It's
Yeah,
really
195.
transformative. What are all the benefits that you feel you've had from it?
Oh, weight loss?
Weight loss,
basically,
yes.
Yeah. I feel better.
In what way? Like inflammation, pain, mental clarity?
Just I wake up different. You know what I mean? Yeah. I feel lighter.
Okay.
You know. I also saving my wife a lot of money.
Oh.
Yeah, she doesn't have to buy a triple X coffin. Now she can buy a small.
Oh, God. Yeah, okay. Yes, noted. That's good. That's good.
I told her that the other day. She
Oh, my
laughed.
God.
Yeah, it's the fact that I went from a triple X. I'm wearing a double X only because I had to change shirts today. I went home to my wife made me a sandwich before the show, so she spilled mustard all over my other shirt. So I had to switch shirts. And this is a double X, and I wear a large now. I went from triple X down to a large.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I feel just a mental thought that I can fit into an X instead of a triple X. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't care if I croak tomorrow. I'm good.
Yeah.
You know. So.
What about your energy? Have you found
Yeah,
that's
same.
improved too?
Yeah, fine. Yeah. Now I've had five bypasses.
Wow.
I have a defibrillator.
Oh my God.
I've had both my knees done. I've had my hip done. Okay. They tell me I'm living on a 30% heart capacity. Okay. Okay. So.
Okay, and so what's the deal with you smoking?
You know,
How
I
do you
quit
keep-
smoking.
yeah.
I quit smoking in 2011 when I had when my defibrillator was put in, and I didn't start until last year again.
Why? What happened?
We were on the road, you know, and it's just boring, and you know, out of boredom, just at night you sit there with a glass of wine outside, looking at the stars, and say, "Oh, let me have a cigarette." And I had a cigarette. One thing led to another. 80 years old. Where am I going? Who cares? You know.
Your wife might.
Okay, well, she'll wait for the next sucker to come along.
Oh my God. Okay, I guess so.
But this has been great. I really love having you on this.
Thank you. I learned
Yeah.
so much. This is so awesome. I
Oh, great.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
the premise of the
pleasure.
show was, you know, most podcasters have a guest on, and the podcaster asks the guest questions.
Yeah.
In this show, I love having my guests ask me questions.
Yeah.
And that was the whole twist of the premise.
Yeah.
And that was all because of John. It all came about because I was a guest on one of our other podcasters' shows, And they got such an overwhelming response. And John had seen the podcast. He says, you got to have your own show. I said, John, not me. I'm behind the scenes. I don't do this. You know what I mean? I don't do this. This is not me. I'm not in the front. So he says, you got to. So I said, okay, we'll try it. Meanwhile, it's working. I mean, I'm getting good responses. So
That's awesome.
I'll keep going. You know,
Absolutely.
until they throw me off.
Well, it's great. I mean, I learned so much. You have so much wisdom. And yeah, I mean, I'm inspired and I appreciate you. So
Oh,
thank you.
you're kidding me. Thank you very much for coming. I really do appreciate it. You've been a tremendous guest.
Thank you.
And I love it. Thank you.
Yes. Well, and the bourbon helps.
Yeah. Well, it's
Cheers again. L'chaim.
l'chaim. Amanda, how we doing? Oh, wow.
It's good content.
Oh, my God. That calls for another drink.
I